You're watching ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. This is the Southland Conference Men's Basketball Championship. A berth to the NCAA tournament on the line, and Lake Charles top seed McNeese has home court as they take on their longtime rivals from the Southland in Nichols. Last night, McNeese rolled into this finals game with a 76-57 win over Lamar. Nichols needed extra time, defeating the 2 seed Texas A&M Corpus Christi 81-73 in overtime. Welcome inside the Legacy Center alongside Ben Braun. I'm David Salzman. As a coach, you've been in this situation multiple times. How are the nerves of these players right now? Well, they're nervous, David, but you can't play with being nervous, and you can't be scared. But I really like what McNeese has done. They were expected to be here, and they're here. But how about Nichols and what they've done? They played magnificently last night, so I like the way that both of these two teams are entering the championship game. Not only were the Cowboys expected to be here, they were expected to dominate. They did so last night behind the play of the Southland Conference Player of the Year in Shahade Wills. He was terrific. What he did for his team was just amazing. There wasn't a thing that he didn't do statistically. He scored the basketball. He found ways to beat his defender. And not only did he do that, he was able to, get some easy looks, and he plays with such control, but he's also able to get his teammates involved. He's an assist machine. He leads his team in steals. And what else does he do? He's the team leader. He's an extension of Will Wade and his coaching staff. Tremendous player, phenomenal competitor. Shahade Wills, the TCU transfer, rolled to a 27-point performance in the win over Lamar last night. In addition to 4 steals, he's also the leader in the Southland Conference in assists and second overall in scoring. On the other side, Nichols needed a balanced effort in their win over Corpus last night. 4 players in double figures. Deontay Smith had 18 in the first half, and then Byron Ireland and Michael Gray Jr. took over after halftime with 34 points combined. Well, they do it by committee. They're not a team that relies on one player, and boy, did these 4 players step up. I really was impressed with Byron Ireland, and I was also impressed with Michael Gray, 2 guys that stepped up their games and went for really big-time performances. McNeese and Nichols, either the Cowboys or Colonels, will be putting on their dancing shoes and headed to the NCAA tournament. Stay with us. The tip-off coming up after this.
Heard about me, you don't know me more than that.
Champ Week.
Yeah. No friends in the industry, my brothers been my brothers, me a fact. Whoa.
This is about winning a championship and hanging a banner. It's something you'll never forget.
Oh, there's another one. College basketball, it never disappoints.
No friends in the industry, I had to draw the line between my brothers and my enemies, a fact.
How fun is this?
A championship Saturday doubleheader begins at 6. Then championship Sunday begins at 1 on ESPN.
They know how to throw a party in Southwest Louisiana, and here in Lake Charles in the Legacy Center, there have been plenty of parties inside this arena. The Cowboys undefeated at home, 29-3 overall, 17-1 in Southland Conference play in the regular season. Definitely expected to win this game, but the Colonels have other ideas. Will Wade, Southland Conference Coach of the Year. He was officially hired 1 year ago today, an 18-win turnaround from last year with this program, Ben Braun.
David, he's done a remarkable job in his first year. I mean, not many coaches turn programs around that quickly and that emphatically.
And Tavon Sadler, the youngest coach in all of Division I, 29 years of age, 20 wins for the Colonels, an improvement from last season. Nichols looking for its first NCAA tournament appearance since 1998.
I loved his effort last night, and, he's earned the right to wear that white suit. I mean, Rick Pitino did it. It loosened up his players. He's taken a page out. Why not? I think it's a great atmosphere, and he's got a tremendous relationship with his players.
Sadler, former assistant here at McNeese just 2 years ago, and what a job he has done. Really, both these head coaches have done in their first years with their respective programs. Longtime Southland Conference rivalry, 105th meeting all time, but it's the first time these two teams have met in the Southland Conference Tournament Championship game. Cowboys, it's been since 2002 since they went to the big dance, and obviously they're the heavy favorites. They blew out Nichols twice in the regular season. For the Colonels to have a chance, Ben, what's the first thing they need to do? Well,
they've got to handle the pressure. They've got to handle the pressure, one, of being in this game, and two, they just got to do what they did last night. They were aggressive. You've got to play aggressive teams aggressively. You know you're going to have the crowd behind the home team. But the way they played last night, they showed me that they were one of the more aggressive teams in this league. So you've got two teams squaring off today that really will go after each other.
Nichols plus 22 on the boards in their 2 victories before this championship game. They have to at least be even in that category, you think, because the Cowboys have dominated on the glass all season long in conference play.
Well, I'm going to add something else to a must-have. They must have somebody and a plan for Shahade Wells, because he really destroyed his competition last night.
27 points in the victory over Lamar. 10 on the shot clock. Omar Cooper saved to Tavion Collum for 3. Wells gets most of the attention, but this is a deep McNeese team. 4 players in double figures, and Collum averaging almost 9 points a game. An early turnover for the Colonels, and the Cowboys get it right back.
Well, again, you know, McNeese will push you out of your comfort zone. In this case, they push the dribble handoff all the way to the 10-second line. That dribble handoff should not be taking place, and it's Tavon is telling his players, hey, space the floor and relax. That we've never done that all year. Don't start now.
Christian Shoemate, part of the McNeese starting 5, almost averaging a double-double, leading the conference in rebounds, 9.5 a game, also 12 points a contest. There's Wells getting in on the act. Then it's 6-0. When you're a Nichols team that was blown out twice by the Cowboys in the regular season, how important is it for them to try to get back into this game early? That doesn't help. Second turnover already for Nichols.
Well, they've got to get their composure back, David. They're playing really phonetically, and they've got to get their game under control.
17-hour turnaround for Nichols after their win last night. First miss for the Cowboys is off a Wells 3, and here comes Byron Ireland.
Well, they're going to have some jitters. Both teams, you know, have a right to be tight. It's a championship game. Winner advances. But you've got to really play and do what you do. Come back to your identity.
Deontay Smith, Nichols leading scorer. Tough shot off the mark.
Yeah, that was a tough shot. I thought that was off balance again. Not the kind of shot they were hitting last night.
Javon Garcia to the line.
You know, so many times, David, you can calm yourself down by really concentrating on the defensive end and also just not trying to do too much. If you're Nichols, you really have to make sure that there's ball security. You've got to be secure with the ball against McNeese. They will punish you if you turn the ball over and you're careless with the basketball.
Garcia, 12 points in the win last night, averaging 12 points a game versus conference competition. Formerly from UMass, number of these players coming together for the first time this season here in Lake Charles.
Well, the good news, if you're Nichols, and we saw this yesterday, you know, they can come down from deficits. They've done it all year. They did it last night. They were down 12. They came back and won the game going away. So I really believe they just have to get their composure back and start playing with the kind of aggression they did and they have been playing with lately.
Byron Ireland, all 16 of his points in the overtime win last night, coming in the second half in overtime. Robert Brown III lost the basketball, but saved by Smith. Leads to a Quinn Strander 3. Foul on the rebound.
That was a good possession if you're Nichols, because the ball was moving, strong with the basketball, had an open look that they normally will knock that down, and then they grab an offensive rebound against a pretty darn good rebounding team. So, you know, step by step.
Foul on Collins, his first. Now Michael Gray has checked in for the Colonels. He and Ireland, the heroes last night. Gray, 18 of his 23 coming in the second half and overtime last night.
He was phenomenal, David. Just played one of the best games of his career.
Smith got up in the air, finds Ireland, drives, challenges Shoemate. Shoemate wins the battle. Ireland saves into the hands of Brown.
Great defensive move in the post. He got around on the backside, came up with the steal.
Smith for three. Got it. Colonels on the board.
Again, good look. Good ball rotation. Find the open man.
Smith, first team All-Southland Conference, 15 a game. Foul before the shot. It's on the Colonels, their second.
Really unique, you know, if you're guarding the post, very few teams come from the backside. You can see that just wasn't expected. Kristen Shoemate did not expect the defender to come from the baseline side. Most coaches teach come from the other side, play with a hand across from the middle.
Smith tipping the pass away, and then Jamal West Jr. comes up with it for the Colonels.
That's two good defensive possessions in a row.
Rob Brown, long three, well off. Backdoor feed, Garcia. He'll go to the line for the second time.
You can see how dangerous that McNeese is, because they're always probing and they're always trying to get to the rim. They're really a threat. They can knock down the three-point shot, but they've got guys that can attack the basket at all times. So you've got to be in your stance. You've got to have guys playing a man and a half to the ball, because McNeese will punish you. They'll get to the rim.
Well, of course, the Southland Conference title game. It all leads to Selection Sunday, and ESPN has you covered. Noon Eastern, college basketball live to prep the day. Then at 6 at Sports Center, bracketology with breakdowns of each region. And at 8, the women's field of 68 revealed. Everything also streaming live on the ESPN app.
David, anything better than Selection Sunday? I've been a part of it, but I mean, I'm as excited today as I was when I was coaching. It's just a great day of the year if you're a sports fan and a basketball fan.
McNeese looking to have its name called on Selection Sunday for the first time in 22 years. If they lose, despite having a 29-4 record, Joe Lenardi says they're not expected to make the big dance. Smith has all 5 of the Colonel points.
Well, he shows you his versatility. Knocks down a 3, but he also hits the baseline floater under control.
McNeese won by 27 and 21 points in the 2 regular season meetings. Garcia again forces contact. That's the 3rd foul he's drawn in the first 4 minutes.
Dave, we didn't talk about this, but you know, if you think about this, you watch again Smith on his ability to float and play under control. But you know, Lamar played a late game last night. They played a lot of guys 40+ minutes, and you know, to the eye here, you say, well, can they sustain this again in an afternoon game? I think that the pressure is going to be such that they're not going to have that, make that a factor.
DJ Richards Jr., best 3-point shooter on the Cowboys, buries his first attempt.
You got to play through this. You got to play through what you know is going to be McNeese's best punch. They're going to deliver a lot of knockout blows. You got to still stay standing.
3rd 3 already for McNeese. Michael Gray on the bench with 2 fouls for the Colonels. Rob Brown, his first 2.
That's another example of taking what the defense gives you. That's exactly what you have to do.
How important is it that the Colonels have settled in early?
I like it. They're playing step for step, blow for blow, and they're an aggressive team. They're not going to back down, I can tell you that.
Richards wants another 3, got fouled.
Well, I think Tavon Sadler is saying to Roderick Dixon, hey, take a look at that. I thought the offensive player kicked his feet out. Been there. You got to argue, plant the seed with the officials, David. It's McNeese up by 5.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Let's build a retirement and benefits plan that works for your team. And Verbo Private Vacation Rentals. Relax, you booked a Verbo. Joe Dumars, all-time leading scorer here at McNeese before moving on to the Bad Boys, Detroit Pistons, back-to-back NBA champions. Also as a general manager, an NBA champion, four-time All-Southland player and the Southland Player of the Year in 1985. During his run, Ben Braun, you were the head coach at NAIA Siena Heights, came down here, almost knocked off Dumars in the Cowboys.
Well, we lost in overtime. Joe Dumars still reminds me that he thinks we should have won that game, but I came up with a really unique defense. I had one of my best players, Lawrence Miller, guarding him. I said, let's go to a triangle and two. He's, what do you mean? I said, we're going to put two guys on Dumars. And so that's my version of the triangle and two. That's how good he was. But, you know, think about what he's done, David. He's been a great ambassador, not only for the McNeese and Lake Charles, but also for the Detroit Pistons as a team captain, a multiple NBA world champion, and he also now is an administrative executive in the NBA and does so much for the league and for the coaches and players. Just you admire what he's done and what he represents.
When I hear that story, I think McNeese that night must have had problems finding the open man if you had two defenders on one guy.
Well, I mean, he was that good. I mean, they had another kid, I think Chris Fadjai, that was good. We put a guy in him too, and I mean, they were good. Glenn Duhan was coaching, and they were phenomenal. But we had chances to win, David. We really did, and I'll never forget that. But just such a storied career to follow Joe Dumars and what he's meant to McNeese basketball. DJ
Richards hits all three free throws, got fouled on a three-point shot before our last time out by Deontay Smith, who has two fouls but remains in the game. Byron Ireland gets his shot blocked. 5 on the shot clock. Brown gets fouled.
That's tough. You know, late clock, you got to stay disciplined. Don't want to reach. Crowd doesn't like the call, but really, Will Wade and the staff not debating it. It's so tough for players. You know, you want to be aggressive, but boy, at the end of the shot clock is when you really want to stay down and just not slap down. Even if you think you get ball, it's the motion that attracts the officials and gets you called against you.
Garcia picks up his first and a fresh 20 for Nichols. Smith wants another 3. 8 in the early going for the senior from Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Well, I talked about if the possibility of being tired. They're not even entertaining it, David. They're here to win. They're here to play, and you're going to have this kind of effort if you want to beat the Cowboys. They're not going to beat themselves. You're going to have to come out here and deliver a punch.
Ten on the shot clock. Garcia, Shoe made the follow, his first 2.
We've talked about this multiple times. When you drive and you're defending McNeese, you can't forget about Christian Shoemate. You converge, you try to help on the drive, but you've got to put a body on Shoemate. He's a premier rebounder.
9.5 rebounds a game to lead the Southland, almost averaging a double-double. Brown 60% from 3, his last 6. Tries to drive. Now 5 to shoot. It's Ireland, lays it in.
He's left off. He's picking up where he left off last night. He willed his team into overtime and to help him win that game. Well, help him win this game. But he's got to do that for his team. The Colonels need his aggressiveness, his ball handling, and his fearlessness.
C.J. Felder, his first touch. Now the Conference Player of the Year, Wells, hangs, got it swatted away, but a whistle. Eric Cronbush calls the foul on Jamal West Jr.
Now let's take a look again at Byron Ireland. He's able to get through his defenders, splits 2 guys, uses his offhand and scores it. You know, he's a pretty slippery player. He's hard to guard because he's got a great first step. And he's ambidextrous, almost uses either hand to finish.
Shahade Wells right out of the gate made his impact felt with this McNeese squad. 23 in a season opening win at VCU. 37 in a tight loss at Western Carolina. Then in double-digit wins over UAB and Michigan. He scored 36 against the Blazers, 30 against the Wolverines.
It's incredible what he's done against those teams on the road to secure victories. He's a winner.
Colonels have made 4 of its last 5 shots to hang around early on. Smith steps back, another 3, this time off the mark. Makai Collins had the ball in his hands and a whistle, and it looks like this will be on McNeese. Richards picks up the foul.
If you look at Nichols, they've got a long lineup in terms of range. They've got some long players who can extend. They can bother you defensively. They can go up and get offensive rebounds. And Tavon Sadler has put this together. He's assembled this roster, and he really likes his players.
Brown, long three. Mike Saunders tips the rebound to Wells. Here he comes. Drives on Ireland, pulls up. Collins the rebound. Oh, Wells almost saved the basketball and almost went right into the scorer's table across from us.
He gets his hand in the passing lane. We asked him in an interview after the game, David, one of the best things I've heard, I said, how do you get all these steals a game? I mean, he goes for 4 or 5, 6 steals. He said, Coach, I just try to do what I would do with a player. I try to anticipate what I'm trying to do, and I just try to, head it off with the pass. That's an unbelievably brilliant answer, and trying to, if you're scouting your opponent, do what you think you would do, and then just get in the way and disrupt it.
Wells, 92 steals coming in, leading the Southland Conference by far. 6 on the shot clock for Ireland. Crossover, pulls up. Offensive rebound. West, it's a tie-up. Still Nichols ball.
I love the perseverance of the Colonels. They're going after the glass. This, very few teams do that against McNeese. You usually are one and done, but they're able to go to the glass and pursue the ball. On the offensive end, if you don't get the rebound, you tip, and you just stay with it. And I think that's really important. Defensively, you go up with 2. On the offensive end, you can get a little bit more angle, more verticality if you go up with one hand and tip it.
8 minutes in, Colonels down 7. Smith, 8 points already. Some contact, no whistle, but ball right into the hands of West, who has to force it. So does Collins. That hit the rim, I believe. No, our officiating crew says shot clock violation. Tavon Sadler disagrees.
Well, they want him to look at it.
At first look, I thought it did hit the rim, but both Kerry Sitton and Roderick Dixon said no. And as we go to break, they'll take a look at the monitor. Nichols down 7 early in the first half. Our NBA Wednesday doubleheader tonight starts in Miami. The Heat hosting the Nuggets at 7:30 Eastern. Then the Lakers are in Sacramento squaring off against the Kings. Our coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 7. Heat 8th in the East. Nuggets tied for 1st in the West with OKC. Let's take a little look at the last play before our timeout. Our crew called a shot clock violation. However, you see the Makai Collins shot did graze iron. It will, though, be McNeese basketball, and they will get a fresh 30 because they got the rebound off the Collins miss.
Right, and Makai Collins, I know he could do that all over again. He'd have used the glass because he had a point-blank layup, but was concerned about the shot clock time and hurried himself.
Garcia racing down the floor and has a layup.
Now, that shouldn't happen after a timeout and dead ball, and I know Tavon Sadler's not going to be happy about that when he gets his team back in the huddle.
3 Cowboys already have 5 points or more. Smith hounded as he picks up the dribble. 7 on the shot clock. Now Smith is left open for 3. Bingo! Double figures already. 11 points.
He's a guy that can knock down that shot. Deontay Smith, when he's open, David's a 40% free throw shooter. I mean field goal percentage from 3. He will knock that down. If you're the Cowboys, you've got to get out and cover him at the 3-point line.
Despite getting blown out twice to McNeese, Smith averaged 21 a game in those 2 contests. Off to the hot start here to keep his team in it, just down 6. 8 on the shot clock for Saunders, the Utah transfer. Runs it up, off the glass and in.
That's a pretty shot, just really composed off the glass.
Cowboys hitting 5 of their first 8, rather 6 of 9 to go up 8.
You see how effective McNeese is at double teaming the ball. They make you play on a short clock.
10 of the shot clock. Brown gets to the rim. And a whistle. That's on Garcia. That's his second. Deontay Smith, red hot in the early going for Nichols.
Well, he's got the ability, you know, with the floor is spaced. He really stretches. He's got a guy in the corner and a guy in the wing. He's able to knock that down. It's 2-1 on the backside. But if I got my choice, I'm not going to leave Smith open. I'm going to take my chances with somebody else. He's just too deadly.
Smith 3 of 4 from beyond the arc, 4 of 6 overall. His teammates have 4.
Well, again, what McNeese is doing, David, they'll double in the post, they'll double on the floor. They get you to make extra passes, and then they make you play on a short clock. The only problem is if you can get the ball rotated, you will have some 2-on-1 opportunities and some three-point shots, but they're banking on the fact that there's going to be a very little time left on the clock. That's been a staple in Will Wade's defense all year long.
Brown with one more free throw. Junior from Albany, New York. Was averaging 10 a game when conference play began, then stepped his play up, comes in at 14 a contest. He makes 1 of 2. Approaching the midway point of half number 1. Winner to the big dance. Shahade Wells, Southland Player of the Year, 5 points in the early going. 8 on the shot clock. Shoemate backs in on Collins. Collins cuts him off. Shoemate tries anyway, and Collins the rebound. That's
great defense by Makai Collins. He just stood his ground, played straight up, played vertically.
Smith on the drive. That falls, and a foul. The Deontay Smith show continues in Lake Charles.
We talked about his three-point shooting. He said, hey, I'm more than a three-point shooter. How about the drive, strong hand, and the bump, and the kiss off the glass? What a game he's having.
Coach, most people here expect McNeese to run away with this contest like they have all conference season long. When does it start getting really tight for the home team here?
Well, the pressure is, again, on McNeese. The pressure's not on Nichols. It doesn't mean it's going to help you win, but it's a fact. I mean, McNeese has to win to advance. They're not getting an at-large bid.
Despite 29 wins, Wells lost it out of bounds.
And that's for a variety of reasons. You say, well, how can a team with 29 and go and blow through their conference? One loss, they beat national teams, but they can't build their conference up. Will Wade can't schedule the way he wants. I've been in his shoes. It's tough when you beat people. You're not going to be able to build your schedule up and build your net rankings.
It'll get worse next year, I guarantee you.
There's no way that you're playing McNeese if you don't have to.
And that happens all around the country. High majors just won't schedule teams like this. Nichols is within 1. That's Jamal West for 3. 23-22.
Well, we talked about Nichols being down, that they're not going to go away. They will fight back. They were down 12, dozen last night. Looked like things were going south. They brought themselves back and won it going away.
Column open for 3. Responds.
That's a huge basket. That's just enough to shake Nichols back a step. Just knock him back 1 step.
Cowboys raced out to a 7-0 lead. They've been up by as much as 9. And here's the team from Thibodaux, Louisiana. Nichols hanging around with 8.5 to go in the first. 10 to shoot. Now 3, Smith, 30-footer. Off Wells last. Nichols gets a fresh 20.
Now it's a three-point contest lately. Both teams just feeling, the three-point line. You can see Smith spots up, and he knows what to do. And obviously, Collum, big fella, really knows how to line it up and knock it down. He's got a good touch.
Collum
40% from 3, David.
Yeah, about to say 40% coming in. Couple of threes here in the first half. Colonel's 47% shooting. 10 on the shot clock. Smith has to force it. Best defensive possession McNeese has had in a while.
Very solid.
Wills gets the step on West, lays it in, and a foul. That burst of speed initially leading to the layup.
Well, why is Shahade Wells so good, David? Why is he so difficult to defend? Watch a change of direction. Watch a change of speed. He goes from slow to fast, back to slow, and back to fast. Count it.
I won't back down.
ACC men's tournament action today. Florida State knocked off Virginia Tech. Wake Forest, a needed win over Notre Dame. Clemson, BC, and Syracuse, NC State to follow. So Wake will take on Pitt tomorrow. Maybe a game they have to win to make it into the NCAA tournament. Joe Lunardi has them on the bubble. Ben Braun, you won over 600 games in your college coaching career. You've been at this level where it's the one-bid league, and you know you have to win the conference tournament. But for a team like Wake in the ACC, how nervous is it being on the bubble with tough opponents looming?
Well, it's tough because there's multiple teams that are going to get in from that league. You just want to be one of them. And sometimes, David, it's amazing, but you can help your cause even if you don't win the conference tournament, but by going all the way to the conference final. That momentum, those extra wins helps your net ranking. So those teams want to advance as far as they can and at least get to the championship to help their cause. Shahade
Wells completes the three-point play opportunity after the Colonels got it to within a point. 6 in a row for McNeese. Rob Brown in and out on the three. And a foul on the rebound.
Well, that bottomed out. That was almost down and under and back out again. But again, it's the Colonels that are finding a way to secure offensive rebounds against McNeese to give themselves extra possessions.
Felder picks up the foul, his first. One Cowboy with 2 fouls, Javon Garcia. 3 Colonels have 2 fouls, Deontay Smith, Michael Gray, and Jamal West. Turnover.
Now, Tavon Sadler not happy with his team for turning it over on out of bounds under. That shouldn't happen.
5th Colonels turnover in the first half. Wills for 3. 10-point lead after the Colonels had it as close as they've been all game.
Now, every time they get close, it's Shahade Wells. It just seems to make a play. I don't care if it's scoring, assisting, or making steals. He always seems to make the play to help his team separate.
He's up to 11, had 27 last night in the win over Lamar, most he's had against the Southland Conference opponent this year. 10 in the shot clock. Ireland gets out of the double team. Now 3 to shoot. Gray forces the 3. Here's Wells with the basketball. Only player on this McNeese roster with NCAA tournament experience. Give him the assist. Felder the lay-in. The lead up to a dozen.
So hard to defend Shahade Wells. I mean, really tough. And now they got a call, David. That just an amazing play, though, by Shahade Wells. He comes off the screen. You have to put a defender on him. You put a second defender on him. And what does he do? He makes you pay. He just finds open guys. I mean, he's so effective at what he does. You can see it. There's the pass. There's the look. There's the assist. Love it.
(34-22) the McNeese lead. Colonels had cut it to 1 at 23-22 almost 3 minutes ago, but after an Antavian Collin three-pointer, it's been the Shahade Wells show. 6 points and the assist on the C.J. Felder layup.
It's an 11-point run, and that's what McNeese can do. They play with runs. You've got to weather the storm. You've got to try to decrease the amount of points they put on the board and just play consistently.
And now the Cowboys have their biggest lead. With Ben Braun, I'm David Salzman from Lake Charles, Louisiana. It's been 22 years since McNeese made it to the big dance. 26 years for Nichols. 6 on the shot clock. West hounded. Try to knock it off. Cooper out of bounds. Instead, here comes Wells for the Cowboys.
A great double team in the block again.
Five and a half to go in the first. Somehow the ball got into the hands of Shoemate. 7 on the shot clock. Saunders pulls up from 3. This is an 11-0 McNeese run. Colonels have not scored in almost 4 minutes. Trying to find Collins. Another turnover. Here comes Cooper. Saunders left open for 3 this time. McNeese ball.
Now, David, when you're playing against teams that make runs like McNeese, you've got to find a way to stop a run, and sometimes drawing a foul is a good way. Get to the free throw line, your shot's not falling. You're playing against really good defense, so find a way to get aggressive.
McNeese is +5 in the turnover department. They were +17 in the turnover department in the regular season in their 2 wins over the Colonels. Collum looking for his 3rd three. Saunders wasn't looking for the ball at first. Says, I'll take it, then lay it in.
With the finger roll. That was a surprise, I think, to have the ball end up in his hands, and, you know, didn't want to reload. He said, let me just score it. Why not?
Deontay Smith kept the Colonels in it, Ben, and he has 14 points. How badly do the Colonels need to get the ball into his hands?
Well, they can get it in his hands, but it's McNeese that's doubling it now. Anytime he's catching it, they're trying to get it out of his hands. So smart defense by the Cowboys. They know what they need to do. They put 2 on the ball right there.
Feed to West, but he misses the layup.
Yeah, they've got to be able to play through contact, a little bit of contact there, but, you know, don't anticipate contact. You know you're going to get bumped. Go up there strong. They need desperately to get to the free throw line, David. That's one of the things they can do to counteract this aggressive, pesky defense by McNeese.
Well, splits 2 defenders, but got the ball poked away. Outlet, Ireland. He'll go to the line. Colonels had it within 1, but it's been all McNeese since. Pokes looking for their 30th victory and the trip to the NCAA tournament.
Hello, everybody. That's Coach Tom Crean. I'm Dallin Cuff. Coming up at halftime, Wake Forest had a big game. They were on the bubble in the ACC tournament. We will show you the highlights of that. Also, USC getting a big win, and they advance in the Pac-12. Highlights of that game. Here, McNeese went a big run.
Well, they did. Shahada Wells just gets in the lane. I mean, and you're not going to keep him out of the paint. You got to make him give it up. You really do. You can't just let him have free reign inside of that paint. And now, when they jump into the press with McNeese, throw the ball ahead. Throw the ball ahead and try to get something at the back end of that press when McNeese is in that full court pressure.
David, Ben, back to you.
Thanks, Dallin and Tom. Colonels had it within 1, but since then they missed their last 5 shots. They're down to 38% shooting. Cowboys at 58%. How easy is it, though, to have Shahada Wells give it the ball like Tom Crean wants the Colonels to try to do?
Well, you'd heard Tom Crean talk about that. And by the way, I'd love to see Tom Crean back on the sideline. I miss Tommy. I've known Tom a long time through his days at Michigan State with Judd Heathcote, and what a great job he's done in his career at Marquette and obviously at Indiana. But, you know, he's right. You've got to do something. Shahada Wells is a special player, but you just can't play him the way you normally play people. You've got to do something to make him play uncomfortably. Easier said than done. But one thing you can start with is get it out of his hands, because when the ball's in his hands, he's a threat. He's lethal.
So the Byron Ireland free throws in the 13-0 Cowboy run. But the top seed still lead by a dozen as we're under 4 to go in the first. Shahada Wells pulls back, fires the 3. Shoemate skies to get the rebound. Richards for 3. Yes! All off of the Shoemate offensive board.
Well, David, how valuable is Christian Shoemate? He gives you an extra possession. He finds his teammate for 3, and there's a knockdown 3 from the corner.
15-point lead, McNeese's biggest. Ireland, the reverse lay-in.
And Nichols needs more of that, but they've got to get some stops. You know, once you let a team get going like McNeese, they're hard to slow down. They just really play in rhythm. They're playing calmly. You have to find a way to disrupt them.
Joe Lenardi says if the Cowboys don't win today, 29-4, they're still not making it to the big dance. Richards buries this 3, his 3rd. It's all Cowboys at home.
It was Nichols Nichols that tried to go cheat the screen, not stay attached, and they paid a price. That was a great fade cut and shot by McNeese. Tremendous job of reading the screen.
Ten to shoot. Brown held in check in the first half and turns it over. Cowboys with numbers. Shoemate. Whistle before the shot. And foul on Nichols.
David, you know, look what Christian Shoemate does. He goes up, and you said it, he's just skywalking, you know. I mean, and then you got to the three into the corner. Richards, I mean, they've got guys that can knock shots down. But what I've been impressed with this game is not the offense, and not that McNeese is not putting on a show offensively, but it's their defense. Their defense, it's predicated off their defense. When they're playing sound and great defense, their offense just shines. It's amazing how things flow from their defense.
Cowboys have forced 8 turnovers, 10 points off those turnovers, and from 3, 7 of 13 so far in the first half.
And they've gotten some good looks.
Front into the one-on-one miss by Shoemate, and the lead remains 16 as we head towards 2 minutes remaining in the first half.
You're Nichols, you got to dwindle this thing. You got to get this thing down in double the single digits or close to it if you can. You have time, but you got to try to get to the foul line, which they have not done, or they'll try to get some scores inside.
Smith draws contact and a foul.
That's better. That's exactly what they have to do, Dave. You take the crowd out of it. You get situated at the line. You set your press up. You catch your breath, and really you shorten. You know, you shorten the possessions a little bit, and you extend a little bit to get some looks, but it's what they have to do. You know, aggressive teams want you to hurry. They want you to take 4 shots and hurry yourself. You got to be aggressive.
Deontay Smith, like Shahade Wells, former TCU Horned Frog, spent his first 2 seasons in Fort Worth, then 2 seasons after under former Nichols head coach Richie Riley at South Alabama.
Well, I love that Roderick Dixon, who I've known these officials. They worked many games for me. They go over and they talk to players at the free throw line. I think that's just really good officiating. You know, they don't want the game to get out of hand. They're telling them, hey, look, keep your hands up. Hey, stop the talking. Don't let me get you here. They want these players to play. And that's just a veteran official. And so is Kerry Sitton. I mean, you're talking about a crew here that's just, they've been around and they've done the job for years.
Officials, to me, they don't want to be involved in the game where they're blowing their whistles so often to slow the game down.
No, they want players to play. They don't want to make it an advantage, disadvantage. They want to, I mean, they do want to make it advantage, disadvantage. They don't want to, you know, make up things to call. They want the players to decide the game, most officials.
7 to shoot for Omar Cooper. Wells gets by Strander. Offensive rebound, Felder. Richards unable to save a turnover.
Good break for Nichols, and Tavon Sadler is just telling his guys, grab it with 2 to stop tipping the ball. You know how important are possessions. If they can close this thing to 10, they've been down double digits and they've come back. They did it last night.
And they were down big early, got it to within 1 before Shahade Wells paced the 13-0 Cowboy run. Crossover for Smith, now for 3. Roger Dixon blows his whistle, it'll go the other way. Collins picks up the foul.
Well, unfortunate because they were about to get a 2-point lay-in until the official blew the whistle, and now we're going the other way, and we're going to have to shoot some free throws, so that's quite a swing right there.
Deontay Smith pacing the Colonels, but has not hit a field goal since the 9:36 mark of the first half, and that's when Will Wade's squad started to pull away.
Well, what they're doing, Will Wade and his staff, they're making a concerted effort to stop Smith and stop, you know, to stop Nichols at the point of attack, and especially anywhere near the baseline, short corners, on the block. They're putting 2 on the ball, and there's always 2 guys on the ball, so you got to kick it back out. They've turned it over a few times, but even if you on the kick out, they're moving on the flight of the ball and they're recovering, so they're making it very tough. Nichols is having to play with a very short clock, and it's tough to get good looks.
Tavon Sadler, youngest head coach in Division I, 29 years of age. First career victory came at LSU.
That's a pretty big victory. How about that for a start? But and he's had a storied career. He started his career at North Carolina, Greensboro, played for Wes Miller, Mike Roberts, my former assistant, and just grew as a player, grew with time, ended up coming back to Nichols, and what an opportunity. It's always been a dream to be a head coach at college, and he's got that dream come true.
When he was recruited to play at Nichols, saw where Nichols was located, Thibodaux, Louisiana, thought it was supposed to be said Thibodeaux. And then, of course, they say go, G-E-A-U-X. He thought, well, that's Cox. Oh, no. But now he's used to the great Cajun culture down on the bayou.
They're used to Shahade Wells doing just that, forcing the turnover and the lay-in. Lost his shoe as well. Still going down the floor, holding it.
He's playing.
Makai Collins, the flush.
He wants officials to call a break. You know, somebody probably should have. You can't call a timeout if you don't have the ball, David. But Shahade is playing with one shoe. But, that was just an amazing finish on the other end. I mean, I don't know how he split two defenders. But, my goodness, he's got the ability to just get up in the air, score it. When we come back, it's the Colonel's trying to narrow the gap. Well, David, I talked about this finish. You see the steal. I mean, he gets 4 a game, but watch this finish. He splits 2 guys, goes way up on the glass, and loses his shoe, but not before he puts 2 on the glass. But he's playing high above the rim and just knows angles, knows how to play. Now you're McNeese. You want to get the last shot if you can. No turnovers. And if you're Nichols, you've just got to make sure you make them shoot, you contest, and you don't give up a second shot or foul.
Shot clock off. 10 seconds remaining first half. Wells with the basketball. He's going to drive again and got bumped. Just the way he can create something out of nothing. We've seen him now 2 consecutive days. It's as impressive a performance I've seen from a ball handler all year.
Well, teams generally now don't let him come off screens. They do what's called ice the screen. They send you on the baseline side. They try to force you down to the corner, keep you on one side of the floor. They did that on that last possession, but he's so quick. If you give him a step and force him in one direction, you better get there early. If you're playing defense, David, you have to play with early help. Defense is early, offense is late.
He came here to Lake Charles for the opportunity. He was on a deep TCU team last season, had one of the best backcourts in the nation, Mike Miles, Damian Baugh. He still scored 6 points a game, but for that reason, with the backcourt they had already, limited minutes, he's come here and has taken the Southland Conference by storm. And on the biggest stage tonight, Southland championship game, 16 in the first half with a free throw to come.
Well, Jamie Dixon's a great coach, and he's had some great players, but I know he's got to be looking to, as coaches do, we all do, and say, look, maybe with some patience and maybe sticking things out, things work. But it's great to see him find a home. He's found a home indeed here in Lake Charles.
Clock winding down, Ireland with authority, and that's how the first half will end.
Not how you want to end the half if you're Will Wade, but I think he'll take this half. They've got a pretty good lead at 16, but look at the play at the end of the half. How about this? They let the ball roll in. Parting of the Red Sea, down the middle. Take it home, big fella.
Colonels had it to within 1 midway through the half, but all Cowboys after that. You're watching ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal. You're watching the Southland Men's Basketball Championship. McNeese expected to take home the tournament championship hardware and make their way to the NCAA tournament, and they may be 20 minutes away. A dominating first half for the Pokes as they lead Nichols 48-32. Alongside Ben Braun, I'm David Salzman. With all the expectations placed on this 29-win McNeese team, how impressed have you been by their poise?
Well, they've been so calm, and it's not easy to do, David, when you know and you're playing under the pressure of having to win this game. But what they've done is they've really started on the defensive end, and they have a guy by the name of Shahade Wells, by the way. And when you have a player of that magnitude that can make things happen for your team, he is a winner. He's an extension of the coaching staff. He's tough. He's fearless. But, you know, if you're Tavon Sadler, you're awfully happy to have their player, Deontay Smith, who's kept them in this game. He's just been phenomenal from free. He's driven to the basket. He's an all-purpose player in his own right. So you got to be impressed what they've done. But, I mean, McNeese is a tough out. They're tough to play against. And for this to happen the second half, the Colonels are going to have to step up and find a way to slow down this aggressive McNeese basketball team.
Smith, half of the Colonel points with 16, Wills with 17, and his Cowboys shooting 58% from the floor. Second half underway with a berth to the NCAA tournament on the line. Shahade Wills keeps it going.
Well, I must have heard us, David, because he just picked up where he left off. He's a load. You know, you don't put two players on him. You put one person single cover him. He will destroy you. He's got to step on you, and he's just too good.
5 of 9 from the floor, 7 of 7 from the charity stripe. Rob Brown, the third, drives and lays it in.
Well, both teams explosive to the basket, but if you're the Colonels, you can't exchange baskets. You've got to get some stops. You've got to go on a run of your own.
Just one conference loss for McNeese that came at Southeastern Louisiana. They've won 10 since, 24 of their last 25. And Tavian Collum throws it in.
Well, he does it often. Again, another feed by Shahade Wells. I mean, Shahade Wells gives you one look one way and he passes the other. He's so crafty with the ball. Great finish by Collum.
Cowboys looking for their first NCAA tournament win, or tournament berth rather, in 22 years. Brown fakes the three. Garcia stays in front of him. Quinn Strider with a shot clock winding down. Brown is open for three. He was red hot coming into this tournament. 63% from three in his last 5 regular season games. He struggled in his last 2, including today. '29 wins for McNeese, second most for any Southland Conference team in history. Stephen F. Austin at 32 in 2014. Collum. Strider the rebound.
There's a double team again off the block. They make you pass out, reload, shorten the clock.
Colonels have not led. They got it to within 1 midway through the first half. Strider left open for 3. Got it.
And he can do that. He's a fine shooter when he's open, but nice job by the Colonels.
His dad, Quinn, former Nichols assistant coach, just played 14 games his first 3 seasons. He was more on the scout team and earned a scholarship this year. Javon Garcia buries the triple.
Well, they almost got their pockets picked, but they find a way to rotate the ball for an open 3. Good job of recovery by the Cowboys.
Deontay Smith along 3. Yes.
David, that was from the Jersey Mike sign. I'm giving them a little extra publicity here, a little promotion, but that was from the hash mark, the old hash mark we used to call it.
Smith now with 19. But still plenty of work for the team from Thibodaux, Louisiana to do. Garcia fouled. Ireland picks up his 3rd.
Well, I know I tend to hyperbole sometimes, but not on this one. I mean, that was the logo, David. I said it was right at the edge, and with no conscience, just knocks it down. That's his range.
Got Jersey Mike's in Thibodaux. Oh, they got great pasta and Cajun food also. Collum. Oh, shoemate! A shoe slam. They've been waiting for that. He's been on the Sports Center Top 10 multiple times for plays just like that one.
Well, if you didn't know the fans were here and alive, you know it now. They are up and on their feet in Joe Dumars' court.
Ireland draws the foul. As loud as this crowd has been all day due to Christian Shoemate.
You want to see a Skywalker? Just keep your eyes on Christian Shoemate. He goes up over the top. Windmill. David, that's a windmill dunk. That's just not a dunk. That's what you bring it down behind your head and throw it down. I mean, how many of these is he going to have? I think there should be a law about how many times you can be on SportsCenter. He might break it.
Yeah, they kept track. I'm sure he has been on it more than any other player in college basketball this year.
Well, he's been incredible. Out of Chicago, he's a human highlight reel.
Garcia forces the tie-up. Still Nichols' ball, but 7 on the shot clock.
Well, I like their aggressiveness, but, you know, David, they got to pick it up. This game's going to get away quickly. You go down double digits, and you get into the 20-point margin. That's difficult to come back from. Again, Nichols is capable. Tavon Sadler's team is capable. They've got a lot of fight in them. But you're going up against McNeese, and they're not going to make it easy on you.
Colonels just had 17 hours to prepare for this one after their overtime win late last night over Texas A&M Corpus Christi to get them into this championship game. Shot clock winding down, and Smith has to force it. Gray takes it away. Gray for 3. Strander fighting for the basketball, forces it to go off a Cowboy, and Nichols retains possession. But it's Javon Garcia and the high-flying Christian Shoemade. McNeese the lead. Christian Shoemade began our semifinal yesterday with what they call around here a shoe slam, and then just a minute ago getting this crowd into a frenzy in the championship game with this dunk.
Well, he plays above the rim, but he's a tremendous athlete, and he really plays with a lot of hop, a lot of spirit. He's only got 3 rebounds. All 3 are offensive, and he's converted them. So he just gives his team a lift. He gives his crowd a lift. He's an exciting player, and he's a defensive player of the year in this conference. So he makes his presence known, David, at all times.
He hit the transfer portal, and when Will Wade came to Lake Charles, still hadn't decided to come back, but called Will Wade 6 weeks after Wade officially became the head coach here, said, "I'd like to come back," and Wade didn't hesitate, said, "Come back home."
Might have been one of his most important recruits.
57-40. The McNeese lead early second half with Ben Braun. I'm David Salzman. Cowboys looking for their first NCAA tournament appearance in 22 years. Shahade Wells has been a big part of that. Southland Conference Player of the Year. Finding Garcia for the pull-up. Here comes Smith. Smith on the run. Wild shot goes in.
Well, you know, he has that ability, David. He looks like it's awkward. He goes to his offhand, but he's shown us countless times he can handle himself in transition, and he's able to use either hand. Great job.
He has half of Nichols' points. Garcia doubled. Foul on Nichols. Ireland picks up his 3rd.
Nichols, again, trying to step up the pressure. You admire their defensive pressure. They're playing with their quickness, trying to get their hand on the ball. They just need a couple of possessions, again, to crack this into under double digits.
They were down big early, got it to within 1. For a McNeese run, gave them a 16-point halftime lead. Shahade Wells, 19 points to lead all scorers. 8 on the shot clock for him. No look, Felder!
I'm sorry, David. I'm amazed at that pass. Be falling back, looking one way, going the other. Incredible pass.
We talked about his poise. I mean, the poise with the shot clock winding down, and still to make a play like that. Smith fouled. Free throws coming.
Now, David, when you're playing against Wells, you're trying to stop him from scoring, obviously, because he's a big-time scorer, but he just threads the needle through 2 defenders. And if you're his teammate, you better get your hands up, because the ball is coming to you. I mean, that thing is, I said yesterday in our interview, that ball's on a string, isn't he? He said, yep. And he keeps it on a string, whether it's on the dribble or on the pass. You know, David, as you know, I've had some pro players, NBA guys, a couple dozen to be exact. if I'm an NBA executive, I look at Shahade Wells. All he'll do is make your team better. I don't care about his size. He's a competitor. He's got toughness. He can play, whether he's drafted or he gets into a league, and you know, he can play it at another level because he's that type of competitor.
One thing Wells and the Cowboys have been unable to do is contain Deontay Smith. He is over half of the Colonel's points now. But can the Colonels make a run? Still down 16. Wells finds Felder again. This time he settles for the reverse.
Great job of McNeese in transition again after a score. That's a second or third time that's happened in Nichols. Maybe the fatigue is starting to wear on them. You shouldn't get beat in transition after a score.
Again, a 17-hour turnaround from their semifinal win to tip off today. Seven on the shot clock. Smith wants 3 more. Got it. Red hot day for Deontay Smith, but can his teammates step up too?
Well, I tell you, one guy that's not tired. I don't care about 17 hours. He's playing like there's no tomorrow, and for good reason. There is no tomorrow. Great effort by Smith. Just a fantastic effort, individual effort.
Colonels within 14 and plenty of time. Garcia looks to answer and does.
Boy, is Will Wade fired up, David. I mean, he is just fired up on the sideline. He's just just getting after his players there. He really just wants to make sure his guys take him to the finish line. It's the Cowboys with the lead.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Verbo Private Vacation Rentals. Relax, you booked a Verbo. Well, we're at Joe Dumars Court on the campus of McNeese University, and if you go to Eastern Michigan and watch a basketball game, well, you'll see one on Ben Braun Court, a great former head coach at Eastern Michigan, among other places, honored earlier this season. Mazel tov, and a well-deserved honor.
Well, David, thank you. I was very fortunate. I want to thank Eastern Michigan University, and specifically former Vice Chancellor Roy Wilbanks, who passed a resolution, put my name on the court. I thought maybe they've been drinking too much, but no, they did that in my honor, and my family was there, my son, my daughter. I mean, I can't say enough. It's an honor, and I appreciate my time at Eastern Michigan, and Gene Smith, who took a chance on me and hired me as a young coach. So really appreciate that, and you know, cut my teeth at Eastern Michigan University.
Well, that's in the MAC, one-bid league. Much like the league Will Wade is in now, the Southland Conference, we know this is a one-bid league, and so tough to get into the NCAA tournament from leagues like that, because you know, regardless of what happens in the regular season, you have to win your conference tournament.
Well, you do, and you know, we were fortunate, David. We won it, got into the tournament, got to the Sweet 16, rode back on the plane with Roy Wilbanks, who I just mentioned. He said, "Coach, great job this year. Are we going to go to the Final Four next year?" And I said, "I'm not sure."
Look out. Shoemate wants another shoe slam. He'll settle for a trip to the free throw line.
Well, you know, you brought up a good point, David. It's not easy to do. But, you know, when you're in a mid-major, there is a lot of pressure. As good a team as you are, and we beat a number of teams. We beat Michigan State. We beat Wisconsin, Washington State, Rutgers. We beat a number of teams at Eastern Michigan. But if we don't win our tournament, those games go out the window, just like Will Wade. Their team won all these games on the road, including Michigan, and in their gym. And now they don't win this tournament, they don't go.
We asked Will Wade about it. 29 wins potentially, and you don't make it. And I liked his attitude. He said it is what it is. I mean, the reason why they won't make it is one quad 4 loss, which is their one loss in Southland Conference play. You don't think he wants to make it to the big dance again? Look at him at our last time out.
David, I've been in his shoes, and you don't want to slip up, because as good as you've had a season, as good a season as you've had, if you don't, you know, finish this job and get your team to the tournament, that'll be a bitter pill to swallow. And we were fortunate all the times our team got to that. We won the league, but we got to the tournament. We were able to win the tournament, and that we had some one-point victories. And you know, you're going to have to win some close games.
You know, the 2 games we've done, because we saw McNeese in the semis last night, he hasn't been close to as animated as he is now, and he still is pacing, trying to encourage his team to finish this off.
Well, what I'm going to mention, and David, you were there for the interview we both had with Will. he said this. He said, look, I've been to these tournaments. And, you know, when I was there and a couple times I had been there, after a while, it wasn't for me. It was for my assistant coaches, my players, my administration, and the people that have supported him. He wants to give back to this community, and he wants to do something they haven't done in a long time, and he's about to do that.
He says this season has been incredible and tops his list for all of his coaching experiences. He's fired up because of that foul call by Eric Cronenbush on his Cowboys.
So he wants, David, this clock can't move fast enough for Will Wade, and he wants every call because it's just tough. He said, look, what about a travel? And he said, you know, there was certainly some movement. I think the tie-up probably preceded the travel, but I know what he's going through. You really want your team to get there, and it's so important for you because you want your team to experience what you've experienced as a coach. But here it is. There's a couple of extra steps, a little Euro maybe in there. So Will Wade's going to plead his case. Could probably be a lawyer.
But again, he says an assistant at VCU under Shaka Smart when they made their run from the first four to the final four. But he says of this year and looking for win number 30, just wants to finish it off right. Not just for the team, but for the city of Lake Charles. He says hundreds of people have come up to him and players just thanking them for giving them this experience. It's been 22 years since the Cowboys have made the big dance. Richards open for three, 20-point lead. Whistles blow. Byron Ireland got hit in the face, and Kerry Sitton stops play to make sure that the Nichols player's okay.
Well, David, you mentioned this. You know, obviously, yeah, they're just going to stop, make sure there's nothing there. But David, you know, I spoke with Shaka Smart today, and you mentioned he worked with Shaka, and he said that Will Wade was very special. He has a unique way with his players, and he really understands the game, and that's a big compliment coming from Shaka Smart.
68-48, 12-14 remains. Will Wade and his Cowboys look to be moving on and putting on their dancing shoes to the NCAA tournament next week. You know, Colonels had it within one in the first half, Ben Braun. Midway through that first half, but it's been all Cowboys since. Will Wade hoping his team can finish the job. Following us, we'll head to the NCC, or ACC tournament rather. Syracuse and North Carolina State. Clemson and Boston College on ESPNU later. Florida State, Wake Forest have already won second-round matchups. And as we head to the quarterfinals tomorrow, we'll see the top seeds. North Carolina against the Seminoles. Pitt, Wake Forest, Virginia, and Duke await their opponents.
I can't wait, David. You know, you just get used to seeing North Carolina and Duke, and now Virginia's in the picture every year. It's going to be a great tournament. It always is.
68-48, the McNeese lead here in the Southland Conference Tournament Championship with Ben Braun. I'm David Salzman. Cowboys looking for their 30th win and auto bid to the big dance. Rob Brown hopes Nichols has something to say about that in the final 12 minutes.
Tavon Sadler's been great out of timeouts. They drew up a play out of the double team, and that pass was a difficult pass for the three.
Mike Saunders draws the foul. Just an embarrassment of riches on this McNeese team. We mentioned Shahade Wells, but also Saunders, Utah and Cincinnati transfer.
Watch the double team in the block. Here's the baseline side double team in the spot up on the corner. That's a hard pass to make, but if you can make it, you can get rewarded. But again, Tavon Sadler's got good knowledge of the game, very smart coach, and he counteracted the double team, which has hurt his team most of today.
Colonels needed their 5th overtime win of the season to make it here, knocking off Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the two-time defending tournament champs, 81-73 late last night.
Well, they also did it, which was impressive, without Jamal West, who went out and missed a good portion of the second half and all of overtime.
One of two for Saunders, an 18-point Cowboy lead. First time these two teams have ever met in the tournament title game. They've met over 100 times in their history. How about Deontay Smith? He's tied a career high now, and we still have just under 12 minutes to go.
I didn't see any opening in that play. He just created an opening. Unbelievable finish.
Saunders got it swatted away by Ireland. Smith again. This time passes it off. Ireland, made the swat.
Well, they had some open players there. I think they overdid it. They had a couple open looks. turned him down and gave McNeese a chance to recover. Now McNeese and Will Wade say, let's slow things down. We've got the lead, we've got the ball. We're only 10 minutes away from championships Sunday. We want to get there.
Cowboys 61% shooting and 10 of 16 from beyond the arc. 7 to shoot for Saunders. Wills for 3. They remain hot from long range.
You want to put things in a winner's hands, close the deal, put it in Shahade Wells' hands. He makes big plays every time.
He's up to 22. Hanging in the air, Gray lays it in.
Now, Michael Gray's been phenomenal in this, you know, especially last night to get his team into this championship.
Colonels are hitting 50% of their shots and 40% from beyond the arc. That'll win you most games, but against a team like McNeese, such a tall order.
Well, how about this? You have to be better than good if you want to beat McNeese, because McNeese is awfully good. But you know, Shahade Wells, David, we've talked about him all game for good reason. He just steadies his team. When you think that Nichols is making a run, he just steadies the ship, knocks down the shot with calmness and confidence. And if you play him hard at the three-point line, he'll blow by you and burn you.
Javon Garcia lays it in and the lead up to 19.
And he's had a pretty good game himself. Garcia's done a great job for the Cowboys.
Wells called for the foul. Joe Lenardi right now has McNeese as a 13 seed in this latest bracketology. The 13 seeds right now, and obviously this is going to change by selection Sunday, but it's the best group of 13 seeds that I've seen. You and I have covered mid-major basketball for a while. McNeese, Samford, Charleston, UC Irvine, 109 wins between those 4 teams.
David, I don't want to play any of those teams, and I've been in the tournament having to play some of those teams. They all scare me.
Cowboys can't stop Deontay Smith. Tavon Sadler calls timeout. The issue with his Colonels, well, none of them can stop McNeese right now. Cowboys still rolling, but it's Deontay Smith with 31 points trying to help his Colonels to a comeback late in the second half.
He's done a phenomenal job. He's taken what the defense has given him, and then when they haven't given him anything, he's taken a little more. He's made things happen, but you know, look what he does, David, against, you know, a really, I mean, really good McNeese defensive team. He spots up, no problem, knock down 3. He gets guarded hard. He pulls up, hits shots at the baseline. He's got a quick release. He's got size. He knows how to space the floor to get threes, but he's also really good at absorbing contact and getting into the paint to score baskets. So he's just got a myriad. Look what his numbers are. I mean, just incredible performance. What he did not only last night, but now tonight. Again, 17, hours later, he's playing like he's just as fresh as a daisy. I mean, incredible performance.
First team all-league leader on the Colonels in points, assists, and steals coming in, and single-handedly keeping his Colonels in it. Christian Shoemate forces contact. Jamal West picks up the foul.
Well, that's your best bet against Christian Shoemate. If you foul him, he's not a great free throw shooter, but you let him play free and easy, get to the glass. He's at a different level.
Alley-oop. Shoemate will settle for free throws.
Well, you know it's coming and you still can't stop it. I mean, everybody's in the paint. All he does is go over the top of you, and he still wants to make a play. There he is, over the top, a little bit of a bump, and can't finish the play. But what an exciting player. You know, David, this is going to be a tough matchup. Somebody's going to draw McNeese, assuming they get to the tournament. We've got 9 minutes to go, but somebody's going to draw them that's going to wish they didn't draw them. That's how good they're going to be. That's how confident this group is. They've got leadership, they've got some experience, and they've got toughness, and they've got a good coaching staff as well.
So they'll be a 13, maybe a 12 seed. You get a 4 or 5 seed in the first round. How far do you think they could go if they finish this one off today?
Well, I think they can go as far as they want to go. I mean, half the battle is getting into the tournament. You know, if your players believe, if your players believe and you've done it, you know, there's nothing like winning. When you're winning, that's a habit, and it's hard to break a habit of winning. You're used to winning. You don't think you're going to lose.
Deontay Smith continues his torrid game. The Cowboys can't stop him.
And he doesn't think he's not supposed to score because he's just on a rampage.
33 for Smith now, but his teammates with 26, and Cowboys are on 60% from the floor, remain in control as we head to the 9-minute mark.
Well, the Cowboys aren't going to go into a deep freeze, but they're not going to be in a hurry either. They're going to try to play some possessions here.
Wells for three. Richards dives. Garcia able to save.
That's unfortunate for Nichols. They had a chance to get that possession, go the other way, and close the gap. But now it's the crowd that's back into this. They feel it for the Cowboys.
They are used to seeing these types of efforts. Cowboys undefeated at home. Wide open three, Garcia.
That would have brought the house down.
Does Smith give it up? The double comes. He gives it up to Brown for three. Got it. Colonels within 13.
Well, David, we said they wouldn't go away, and they won't. Tavon Sadler's team has a lot of fight.
Game effort from the squad from Thibodaux, Louisiana. Eight on the shot clock. Wells drives. Got fouled.
Does he know he's 6 feet tall, David? He said, I don't care how big you are. I'm going up, I'm going over you, and I'm going to try to throw one down.
When you go 17-1 in the Southland, you're going to take home most of the awards in your league, and no exception here in the Southland. Shahade Wells, player and newcomer of the year for McNeese. Christian Shoemate, the defensive player of the year. And Will Wade, first year as head coach in Lake Charles, is the Southland coach of the year. Dominic Capriati, freshman of the year for the Huskies of Houston Christian.
All well deserved, David. And now you get a chance to look at McNeese, and you know, what an outstanding season. And their net ranking pretty good. Key road wins. I mean, how many teams go on the road and beat those three teams? Final four teams in VCU and Michigan, and then UAB and Andy Kennedy. I mean, those are significant wins for your program to complete.
Not only the wins, the 3 losses all on the road by a combined 14 points, but because one of those losses was a quad 4 loss. There was that large talk about McNeese before the loss to Southeastern Louisiana. Dropped the net low enough where Joe Lenardi says a loss here, which would also be a quad 4 loss. No at-large chances for the Pokes.
No, but you know, again, another thing I'll mention, I think we alluded to this a night ago. Think about this. You've lost one game in your league. How many teams in the country can say they lost one road game? It's just St. Mary's maybe the only team in the country I know that's played and gone through their league with one loss. It's just it's incredible feat.
It's not going to change, but we say it every year where, look, every team gets into the NCAA tournament according to some sort of merit. But a lot of the high major at-large teams that go to Dayton, I mean, they've had 12 up 15 more chances at quad 1 wins. It helps them when you win just a few. Gets that net high enough. Shoemate, the defensive player of the year in the league. The block, still Colonel basketball.
Well, you think you get by, and now Shoemate's there to reject you at the end. I mean, he just does it all. He's there cleaning up the loose ends, and he just gets a piece of the ball. Bill Russell would be really proud of that play. He doesn't block it out of bounds. He tip blocks it, keeps it alive, and almost gets the possession, but throws it out of bounds.
Shot clock reset, and so Kerry Sutton, our lead official, is going to see how much time should be put on the shot clock. Couple of blocks for Shoemate tonight. Almost averaging a double-double coming in.
Well, and they want to see, David, if there's a shot clock violation. They're at the table. Tavon Sadler a chance to get his team over there. And boy, you got to admire, talking about while we wait for the officials, Tavon Sadler's team. I mean, again, we talk about being the youngest coach in the country, and he's got such a great story behind him.
He says his calm presence helps his team in crunch time. Certainly did that last night, and also has the youngest staff in the country. His oldest assistant is just 32 years old. Says, my young age gives me a chip on my shoulder. And his predecessor, Austin Claunch, when he became head coach at Nichols, he was the youngest in D1 as well.
No, he sure is, and he's done a really good job. You know, getting this program into the championship game. And you mentioned Austin Claunch, a great job he did before he took off, and he's now at Alabama. They've had some good coaches, but you say, well, can a young coach get the job done? If you don't give him a chance, you'll never find out. I'm all for giving young coaches. I started my career at 23, didn't really know what I was doing, but I was fortunate somebody gave me an opportunity.
Our crew says Shoemate had possession when he tried to save it from going out of bounds. Ball was in his hands long enough that they gave the Colonels a fresh 20, yet they turn it over.
Well, I talked about what you have to do to Deontay Smith, David, and they did exactly that. And it's, because they double-teamed him.
Overrule, so Nichols will retain possession. Look at disbelief on Christian Shoemate's face. They had already reset the shot clock. Now they have it back to 11.
Yeah, and they're not going to go to the monitor for this one, not until the last 2 minutes of the game. I thought that was the right call, but David, you look at McNeese, they'll double team you every chance they get, and if you're one of the best players on the other teams, you're going to see, that's the out of bounds. That's the right call. Officials made the exact right call. But you can see that the strategy of McNeese is to get a double team almost every time down the floor.
Brown for three. Would have given Nichols a deficit that would have been as close as they've been all half to the Cowboys.
Well, you take a sigh of relief if you're the Cowboys. You don't want to see it get down to single digits or even double digits. That's doable.
Garcia drives, lays it in.
Well, he's taking a page out. He can do that. Shahade Wells, he can get to the basket in a hurry. Great drive.
Lay-in and a foul for Gray.
Now we're seeing two teams that know how to attack the rim. You see why the offense has an advantage today. One-on-one is an impossible cover. If you don't have defensive schemes, you don't have a way to stop the basketball, you're in trouble. There's a baseline drive. There's no help, and he's to the rim. And it was Garcia at the other end, Javon Garcia, that did the same thing. And Shahade Wells, forget about it. You give him a one-on-one matchup with no help, just count it. He's getting to the rim. But it's really tough. And your best coaches come up with schemes, whether it's early double teams, forcing you baseline, taking you away from the middle of the floor. Too many options in the middle of the floor.
Deontay Smith takes a breather. What a performance by the Nichols senior, 33 points. We'll see just how long he stays on the bench as Gray had a tremendous second half last night. 18 points to help the Colonels to that overtime win over A&M Corpus Christi. Completes the three-point play. Nichols within 13.
Now, smart play by McNeese. They don't have to score it, and they've got time on their side.
Shahade Wells is on the bench, but he'll come in at the next whistle. 10 on the shot clock. Garcia finds Saunders. Now with 6 to shoot. Garcia pulls up, buries the jumper. As well as Wells has been, Garcia 17, DJ Richards 15. Wells has had help.
He's been tremendous tonight. He's made every right play. He's driven it. He's pulled up. He's found his teammates. Really, really excellent job by the junior from Columbus, Ohio.
Cowboys continuing to keep the Colonels at arm's length, despite Nichols outscoring McNeese this half. Gray fires the three. Yes. Colonels within 12.
I love what Michael Gray's done, the sophomore from Fredericksburg, Virginia, has really, really stepped up these last 2 nights. He's been incredible.
What a gritty effort by this Colonel team, playing their 3rd game in 3 days. And again, just a 17-hour turnaround from their overtime win last night to tip today. Shoemate gets fouled.
Might have got away with a little bit of a hip-hop to the basket, but that's what Shoemate does. Good post players anticipate. He saw the pass come into the high post, and he just nosedived to the basket. Great job of presenting yourself for a score at the rim.
He's just a 46% free throw shooter, coming in 2 of 5 today.
Well, I'm surprised not surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised if they foul him more. He had missed 5 free throws coming into tonight's game in a row. And so if you can foul Shoemate, you got a chance to maybe go 2 for 1 or 3, even 3 for 2 at the worst. But you got to take your chances, pick your poison. You got to find a way to get back into this game.
So Makai Collins fouls out. 4 fouls apiece for Ireland and West for Nichols. No Cowboy with 4 fouls. 1 of 2 for the conference's Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, you're Nichols. You got to try to get on the board early. Maybe stop the clock. Get back to the foul line as well.
Ireland. Under 5 to go. West spins. Shumate gets the swat. Out of bounds to Nichols.
How hard is it to go over the top of Christian Shumate? I mean, that's just really stellar defense. He stays disciplined, stays on the floor, challenges up, gets a piece of the basketball. Great defense by Christian Shumate. See why he's Defensive Player of the Year.
Believe our crew's going to check the shot clock with 4:51 remaining, and Shumate squad up 13.
Well, he's 6'6", David, but I can guarantee you he plays bigger than 6'6".
3 blocks, 7 points. They haven't needed his points, of course, last year as an 8 seed. He single-handedly led the Cowboys to the semifinals here. 80 points in those 3 games to go along with 41 rebounds. But a much better supporting cast this time around.
Doesn't need to score. He can get all his work done defensively and be on the board, set screens. He's really a great team player. Here's the threat.
Smith, a 3 up. Colonels remain down 13.
They get this under 4 with double-digit leads. It's going to be hard to climb back, but you see the Cowboys not in a hurry. Will Wade and his coaching staff just telling his team, slow it down, play the clock, let's get a good one, but not turn it over.
Richards fires the 3, in and out. Approaching 4 minutes left. Colonel's looking for a late run. Inside, West. Foul called.
Great look by Deontay Smith to his teammate.
How impressed are you by this Colonel effort? Because very few teams have come close to defeating the Cowboys except one in conference play here.
They play as a team. You know, Tavon Sadler's got a team that really, you know, they play at a high level. They play team basketball. It's not one-man show. Every night it might be a different guy. And as you see tonight with Deontay Smith, you know, but what they do is it's just whoever needs to step up, they step up. They built a really good team culture. I've been very impressed.
And just 29 years old, youngest head coach in Division I, but he tells us, I'm tired of hearing how young I am. All my mentors were young too. 1 of 2.
Well, they can close this to under 10 with 4 minutes of the TV timeout time to go. They are in this game. They have come back from double digits. They came back from 12 down last night and won the game.
Wells. Foul called. Shot clock had gone down to 10. Foul on Ireland is his 4th. 81-69, the Cowboys lead. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal. Let's build a retirement and benefits plan that works for your team.
Dallen Cuff here in studio. If you're looking for the NC State-Syracuse game in the ACC tournament, that is now starting over on ESPN News. As soon as we finish it up with the Southland Championship game, we'll be moving that over to ESPN 2. Let's get back to Louisiana, where McNeese may be making history.
Thank you, Dallen. 81-69, the McNeese lead. Cowboys 3:51 away. They hope for their NCAA tournament berth in 22 years. Conference tournaments abound as we head towards Selection Sunday in the Big 12. TCU, BYU winners. Texas, Kansas State, 7 Eastern, ESPN Plus. Then Kansas without Kevin McCullough and Hunter Dickinson tried to knock off Cincinnati. Houston, Texas Tech, Baylor, Iowa State, the top 4 seeds.
Banner year in the Big 12. They deserve the accolades. That's just been from top to bottom a Premier League. But a shout out to Houston. I've watched their team. I've followed their team. I've coached against Kelvin Sampson many years. And I mean, one of the toughest coaches to coach against. His son's helping him on the staff. I mean, they're a team that if they win it all, I would not be surprised. They could have won it before, had a few injuries, but they've battled back, David. They've turned that program into just a monster basketball program.
New conference, same result. Tops in the Big 12 after a long stint in the American.
No, and go to a game in Houston now at the Fertitta Center. You're in for an experience. I mean, what they've built there has been incredible. We used to take our Rice teams there. We used to get some wins. Not anymore. those days are long gone. Yeah, to go in and get a win against Kelvin Sampson in Houston, very few teams do that.
Deontay Smith turnover. Just the 11th for Nichols, but Ben, 4 McNeese turnovers the entire contest.
No, that's amazing. Their ball security is good, but you know, when you have Shahade Wells, you're not turning it over.
3.5 remaining. Cowboys have led the whole way. As high as a 12 seed, according to Joe Lenardi, if they're able to finish this one off. The whistles blow.
Yeah, no, they're in good shape. You know, David, I got to go back to Houston just for a second. No slight to Tom Penders, who we had to play his teams, because he's probably watching. And boy, was he tough to play against. Great coach at Texas, great coach at Houston, and got to the NCAA at Rhode Island. What a coach he was. I hated to have to play against his team. Never got him.
Hey, look, we love Tom, but he didn't get Houston to #1. I mean, what Kelvin Sampson and his staff have done is simply remarkable.
No, but that was a tough program back then, and I thought he did a good job. But you're right, Kelvin Sampson deserves the accolades, and you know, I will not be surprised if they're a team that gets there and then wins it all.
McNeese faithful expected a coronation over these last 2 days. Cowboys just needed 2 wins as the top seed to win the Southland tournament crown. They may just be 3 minutes away. Up 15, a long 3 for Brown. Christian Shoemate smacks the rebound in his hands.
Well, again, the double team led to the kick out and then the recovery. That's what they do. They double, they get out, recover, play you on a short clock, and you're trying to rush your shot. The fans sense it, David. You can see it. You can really sense the opportunities here.
Shoemate, another shoe slam with authority. The icing on the cake to an NCAA tournament berth for McNeese. Late whistle and a foul.
David, I think you got to copyright the shoe slam, David, because that's a shoemate slam. He brings it back from his back of his back. I mean, he cocks it and lets it fly. I mean, he is just a dunking machine, and his teammates know how to find him. What an exciting player. It's been a pleasure to cover him over the last several years.
Can we get that young man in the slam dunk contest, please?
Oh, there's no contest, David. He enters the contest. Look at Shahade Wells now, if you can. I mean, he's imploring his crowd to get up and cheer his team on, and for good reason. You know, that's acknowledging your crowd, because your crowd took you here too. You didn't do this just by yourself. Your crowds have been influential.
Foul called. 2:16 left. 15-point McNeese lead. These Lake Charles faithful waited 22 years for this moment, and they're about to get it. A trip to the big dance for McNeese for the first time since 2002.
Oh, really? I mean, it's exciting. It's not happening yet. The crowd is anticipating. They really want to celebrate with this team. They want to bring it home. And, I mean, lines outside before the game, tailgates and basketball game. That's usually for football games. They had tailgates out here. I had to walk through the side door to get in here. There were long lines everywhere.
Will Wade brought in much of this recruiting class, including Javon Garcia. All of them coming to Lake Charles for a final chance to make it to the big dance. They're about to get it. Foul called. Christian Shoemate to go to the line with 2:05 to go. Nichols making it to the tournament title game.
And under the toughest of circumstances, January 27th, after a win at A&M Commerce, Nichols assistant Assad Lamont suffered a seizure on the bus ride back to Thibodaux. Soon after, doctors found 2 brain tumors. He underwent surgery just over a week ago. Head coach Tavon Sadler tells us Lamont is getting better every day. You talked to him today, Ben Braun. Obviously, our thoughts are with him in his recovery.
Well, I spent a lot of time with him on the phone, and what a delightful guy. David, he's so positive. You know, he's feeling good. He said, look, I'm winning the battle. I got more biopsies, but I'm ready to persevere. I've got faith. I have amazing support. I'm not in this thing alone. Got faith in God. My team is behind me. They talk every day. And so he's going to come back, and I think he's going to be a big story. He's been the right hand for Tavon Sadler for many years. So I'm glad we were able to mention that. He's watching the game today. Get well, big fella. We miss you. We love you. And you can sell your spirits in your team today, as Nichols has nothing to hang their heads about. They play with guts, determination. They really, really get the job done.
Shahade Wells to the line with 1:37 to go. Well, this will be one of, if not the top 12 or 13 seed in the NCAA tournament that 4 or 5 seed does not want to see.
Oh, David, I've been at both ends. I've been that seed and played teams and won, gotten a couple Sweet 16. I've also been a team that had to play these kind of games, and they're really difficult because, you know, sometimes you have to convince your players that this is a good league and a good team, and the media, the fans don't give you sometimes your respect, and then you go out, what do? You win. And so this is going to be a tough out. Whoever draws, McNeese is going to be in for a whale of a game. They're going to be in for a dogfight. But here you go. Here's the current 12 seeds.
12 seeds are lower to make the Sweet 16 since 2012. Few 15 seeds have made it. Oregon State made it in 2021, the last 12 seed to do it. Last 13 seed to do it was LaSalle in 2013. You think McNeese could possibly add themselves to that list?
No question. I was at the Princeton game last year when they beat a very talented Missouri team that was really coached by one of my former players, Dennis Gates. And Dennis told me that was one of the toughest games he's coached against all year after they won the opener. And then, you know, obviously you look at what those other teams have done. They've done well. Look at the emotion on the sideline and the thankfulness.
Will Wade admits that this was 5 or 10 years ago. He'd be thinking more about where his next job's going to be. But these past few months at Lake Charles, he says he's been taking more time to take in what McNeese's success means to this city. It was under 4 years ago Lake Charles suffered severe damage twice through 2 separate hurricanes, Hurricane Laura, Hurricane Delta, in a 6-week span in 2020. It's the type of damage a city can never totally recover from. That's one reason why Will St says winning the conference title is the greatest accomplishment of his career, not just for him and the team, but for this community and the joy he's seen on hundreds of Lake Charles residents just because of the Cowboys' success this year.
Well, and you can look on his face and you can look at the enjoyment he has even when he talks to us. But David, he's doing this, and again, wants to win for his players. He's been there. He doesn't need another notch. He's doing this, and he wants his players to experience what he's experienced. And that's what great leaders do. They want to take you places that you haven't been before, and you really appreciate that years from now.
Two and a foul, Jamal West Jr.
Well, and I don't, and they're not done. But you can't be premature. You can't celebrate and think about the NCAA tournament. I really want to compliment Will Wade and the staff. They just never talked about the tournament. Shahade Wells said, Coach, we're not talking about the tournaments. We're just talking about playing our best. And when it's time, we want to win. Then we'll talk about who we play. And I think that's the kind of mindset you have to have. But this crowd, this community has something to cheer about. And it's a feel-good story. I mean, look at the smiles on the face of the players and the coaching staff. That's true. That's love, David. That's going beyond. And Tavon Sadler's on the other side of the coin. He's going to get there. His day's going to come. But you got to go through this before you get there.
It was 1 year ago today, Will Wade was officially hired as McNeese head coach. He said, I hope maybe for 23, 24 wins, and obviously hoping his team can get to the big dance. He didn't expect 30 victories, multiple double-digit road wins over some of the best mid-major, high-major programs in recent years. And now he'll see his Cowboys onto the big dance. They'll see their name on Selection Sunday.
One of the best stories in college basketball, no doubt about it. You'll be reading a lot about this on Monday. Sunday will be Selection Sunday. Monday you'll be reading about it. His story will be told.
What's happened to him the last few years, well documented, but he's been very humble. I mean, we've seen him a few times throughout the course of the year, confident, but humble as well, and realizing the opportunity McNeese has given him, how thankful he is for that. And as mentioned, the community has thanked him back for what he has turned this Cowboy program into. But again, humble is the word that I think I can use to best describe Will Wade and this team in their run to 30 wins in a Southland crown.
Well, you know, that's part of appreciating the opportunity that you have. And I think not only is Will Wade appreciating his opportunity, I know his players appreciate the opportunity they've had to play for this McNeese State, this team. And so that's what you want to do. You know, life is short, David. You want to grab these moments, hold on to them, and make the most of your opportunities.
First McNeese tournament berth since 2002, when Tick Price, who is the current general manager of basketball in the Southland, was the coach here.
And he's here today, and he means so much to this community as well. He's coached at 3 schools in this league. Tick's an amazing guy. I know he's happy for McNeese and for this league to have this game at McNeese and to see this team go into the tournament. Congratulations to Tick on his new job, and also to the newly crowned McNeese Cowboys for their trip to the NCAA tournament.
We'll see what seed the Cowboys are on Selection Sunday. Regardless, first-round opponent won't want to see the Cowboys in the NCAA tournament. McNeese, the Cowboys, two-step their way into the big dance.
How about Shahade Wells? He's there. He said, both these guys said, David, that's what we do. And you know what? I'm a believer. That is what they do. They win. Heath Schroyer on the court congratulating his coaching staff, his administration, the proud athletic director. What a great job. And this conference has done. The commissioner done a great job. Chris Grant, you know, they're celebrating. This is a day of celebration, and for good reason. Will Wade, a happy young man today.
30-3, the McNeese Cowboys on their way to the NCAA tournament. Cowboys 92, the Nichols Colonels 76. For Ben Braun and our entire crew, I'm David Salzman saying so long from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Thanks for watching. Let's send it out to the ACC tournament. It's NC State and Syracuse. Dave O'Brien and Corey Alexander have it for you.